Welcome to MDF's State of the Foundation, and welcome to our 2023 annual conference. We have an exciting couple of days for you and hope you are going to find time to learn, grow, and connect. A special welcome to our virtual attendees today. We have around 80 people joining us virtually. It's my pleasure to share with you, along with my colleagues, Jeremy Kelly and Andy Berglund, about the progress of the foundation and what we've been up to since we last met in San Diego. We're executing on a strategic plan in areas of community care and a cure. We're hosting the annual conference in Washington, D.C. with in-person and virtual options. We've issued new clinical care guidelines this year, including our pregnancy recommendations. We've launched international DM community and non-English speaker initiatives. We organized our first advocacy day on Capitol Hill in nearly a decade yesterday. And we've invested over $1 million in research fellowships and early career grants, which is the highest amount ever for the foundation. We completed earlier this year a research landscape assessment to identify barriers to research and drug development progress. We've raised nearly $3 million last year in donations, the highest amount we've brought in for the foundation. Yeah, and in part, that's great. That is in part to a record-breaking gala in New York City last year with incredible donors supporting the foundation. We issued, and hopefully many of you or most of you received our annual report and our report to the community in the mail this year. It's our second ever annual report and the first time we've ever sent it out to the community. And we hired 3 new staff members this year to help strengthen the organization. Okay, we envision a world with treatments and a cure for myotonic dystrophy. This is why we're doing what we do. We support and connect the myotonic dystrophy community. We provide resources and advocate for care, and we accelerate research towards treatments and a cure. So I'm going to review some of the progress on our care and community programs. So nearly 30,000 people have connected closely with the foundation since our inception in 2007. And this includes families, clinicians, industry professionals, regulators, donors, our allies all over the world. But through email and newsletters, we're communicating with 12,000 of those folks every month. And we see an increase in connections by an average of about 2,000 people annually. And our conference continues to grow. This is our 15th annual conference. We're bringing together almost 600 people this year. We have 500 people attending in person. It is a record, an all-time high for us. And we are very excited to have another almost 100 people virtually. This is our second time doing a hybrid event. And the conference remains the nexus for the myotonic dystrophy ecosystem. So we bring together individuals, families living with DM, clinicians, the researchers, the biotech, and the pharma companies. And there is nowhere else that's doing this specifically and only for myotonic dystrophy. And the pandemic allowed people to connect from all over the world in a way that they never have before. And we're committed to ensuring that families and professionals continue to learn and grow, even when they can't make it in person, which is why we continue to offer a hybrid event. So we have over 150 first-timers this year, and we're consistently seeing at least 100 first-timers at every one of our conferences. This year, we have over 200 professionals, which is another huge record for us, live and in person, and there are additional almost 30 professionals virtually. Our international attendees have jumped considerably since pre-pandemic when we had 17 people from other countries outside of the US, and this year we have 70 people from around the world joining us. And we know that changing location makes a difference and allows different people to get to the conference, which is why we're committed to continuing to move geographically. So speaking of moving geographically and around, look out next year for MDF coming to a community near you. We've heard from many people over the last couple of years that there is a huge need to reconnect our local communities, and MDF wants to help facilitate that. We're planning to host 6 regional conferences in the US to bring DM experts and resources directly to our local communities. We're going to be partnering with our research facilities, medical schools, and to absolutely ensure that we can connect community closer to DM researchers and clinicians, and actually provide medical students an opportunity to hear about DM directly from people living with the disease. We want to make sure that they hear about that than more than those 4 or 5 lines that they have in their medical books. We continue to expand our services and resources to more of our community. We engage with newly diagnosed families regularly. Folks are calling and writing emails to our warm line every day. We continue to publish clinical care recommendations and guidelines, including the new pregnancy clinical recommendations that were released in the last couple of weeks. And we expect to publish the mental health handbook later this fall. Our digital library, which we call our Digital Academy, has expanded to over 200 videos and 100 hours of content specifically about myotonic dystrophy. Our Find a Doctor map on the MDF website has doubled in size to help people connect with clinicians who also care for people living with myotonic dystrophy. Last month, we partnered with the University of Kansas Medical Center to host our first DM Day since the pandemic began, and it was pretty spectacular. We had over 80 community members joining, and there were 20 medical students attended a special medical school roadshow to learn about DM directly from families living with the disease. For the last 3 years, MDF has brought over 10,000 people closer to TM drug developers to ensure that the community knows about the progress of the drug development and can ask questions live. And this is really important to our community. We know that, and we want to continue to offer that. This has been happening for the last several years on the first Friday of each month leading up to the conference. And we will have a lot of those folks here today and tomorrow providing industry updates. Our MDF support groups continue to grow stronger. We have 30 regional and virtual support groups, and we now have 36 community leaders serving as support group facilitators for those support groups. They are responsible for helping connect our local communities. I'm proud to share that MDF is expanding our reach through translated resources in multiple languages. And in partnership with some of our community leaders, we now have dedicated Spanish and German language hubs on our website to make accessing these resources easier for those specific languages. Last year, the DM community accessed our website from over 200 countries. The website continues to grow and is continuously evolving with new resources for our ecosystem, with over 300,000 page views a year. Next year, we're hoping to update our website further, make it a little easier to navigate, and we'll be seeking input from our community about what you would like to see and what is going to make it easier for you to access those resources. So stay tuned for us next year. Our social media influence continues to grow with over 6,300 Facebook followers. And there are many DM pages and sites out there, but MDF's primary Facebook page is the Myotonic Dystrophy Foundation. We also have 5 separate Facebook groups, which DM1, DM2, JOA, caregivers, and unaffected male caregivers. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about advocacy. For those of you who were here last night, you heard about the work our community did to increase congressional understanding of myotonic dystrophy yesterday, with 130 dynamic DM advocates, with over 100 visits to the House and Senate. We had 9 advocacy captains who scheduled all of these incredible meetings with Congress. They were organizing and shepherding their state delegations for the last several months. Our congressional briefing was pretty amazing. It was a little bit too small of a room, we recognize and appreciate all of you who were very patient and kind. But we had a visit from Senator Klobuchar, our National Advocacy Committee member, Chuck Hunt, the National Institutes of Health representative, Dr. Lindsay Criswell, and from the Congressionally Directed Medical Research Program, we had Colonel Sarah Goldman. She is from, and the CDMRP program is actually part of the Department of Defense. And we also had with us Dr. Kathleen Galliver from Avidity Biosciences. DM is among 50 conditions eligible for the peer-reviewed medical research program funding. It is the only muscular dystrophy eligible for this type of funding through Department of Defense. We must regain eligibility to maintain and stay on that list every single year. So we have to ask our senators, specifically our senators, to include myotonic dystrophy on the list of eligible conditions. And this is critical that everyone does this every year so we do not lose the chance for myotonic dystrophy research through the Department of Defense. Last year, there were $8.8 million awarded through that program. And that was to researchers at the University of Florida working on both DM1 and DM2. Earlier this year, we partnered with the leadership of the Peer Review Medical Research Program to host the first ever DM research funding webinar for DM researchers. It's paying off. From what we understand at this point, we believe more myotonic dystrophy researchers, have applied for that grants this year than ever before. And in July, the Senate Appropriations Committee approved the fiscal year 24 funding bill that makes DM eligible for PRMRP funding for the 7th year in a row, which will be next year. So stay tuned. Next year, we're going to be asking for your help to make sure that this happens again. And we'll seek congressional support for DM eligibility for the 8th year in a row. We know that $16 million over the last 6 years is not enough, and our government can do better. So we'll need your advocacy with your senators to make sure that DM stays eligible for this funding. So DM advocacy has advanced worldwide. 2 years ago, we actually helped launch the Global Alliance for Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness. And the Alliance believes that raising awareness of myotonic dystrophy will help improve healthcare, basic research, drug development, and policymaking. And that increased funding for research will improve health outcomes, reduce disability, and increase life expectancy for individuals living with the disease. That alliance started out with 21 members and has since grown to 57 members across 16 countries on 5 continents. I know it's a little tough to see some of these folks, but they are also in your program. I believe it's page 33 if you want to take a closer look at who all is engaged. These are nonprofits, researchers, academic institutions, hospitals, clinics, schools, biotech, and pharma companies, all coming together to make sure that on September 15th, we are celebrating International Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness Day, and that we are promoting awareness of DM. These are some photos from the grassroots campaigns on International Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness Day last year. We have community members sharing their stories with drug developers. In the bottom left is a woman who's raising awareness about the specific symptoms of myotonic dystrophy, and she's in the UK doing that. The University at Albany in New York was passing out cookies with the International DM Awareness Day logo on them on their campus. Buildings were being lit up in green all over the world. The French Muscular Dystrophy Organization, AMF Telethon, was passing out green balloons. And the RNA Institute in New York was celebrating by lighting up buildings all over. So ask yourself, we are 7 days away. How are you going to celebrate International DM Awareness Day? If you need ideas, we have plenty for you. You can stop by the MDF table to learn. There are some definitely some fantastic campaigns that you can get engaged with. Grab any of our staff and we'll be happy to chat with you about what some of the ideas might be. Okay, we're going to be talking about what we're doing to accelerate research towards a cure in just a minute. But first, I would like to give a shout out and thank Dr. Charles Thornton, who has served for the last 15 years as the chair of our Scientific Advisory Committee. He's been essential to ensuring that MDF has remained focused on eliminating barriers to drug development. He has always kept patients at the center of decisions, leading teams in scientific breakthroughs, providing critical insight and feedback for our grant-making process. And he remains dedicated to training the next generation of DM researchers. He is staying on our Scientific Advisory Committee, but he is passing the torch. And I hope you'll join me in just thanking Dr. Thornton for his leadership for the last 15 years. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to our incoming Scientific Advisory Committee Chair, Dr. Andy Berglund. Andy's scientific career has focused on RNA for more than 30 years. He began his independent research career at the University of Oregon in 2002 as an assistant professor of chemistry. He started work on DM because his first undergraduate student's mom had DM1. In 2005, his lab solved the first structure of the toxic CUG RNA that causes DM1. In 2015, he was recruited to the University of Florida as a preeminence professor in biochemistry and molecular biology. And in 2018, he was recruited to the University at Albany to serve as the director of the RNA Institute. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Andy Berglund, our new chair of the Scientific Advisory Committee.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just say I'm honored to follow Charles Thornton, who's a great friend and a great mentor. And I just hope I can fill his shoes. Oh, yeah. Next slide. Here we go. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the investment you are all making. And the MDF Fellows is an amazing program. So that started in 2009. And the fellowships just make such a difference. I've had many work with me, and there's many of them here. So if you want to talk to them, they're here. I think they're going to be part of the buddies thing at the lunch. And so this past year in 2023, 5 fellowships were awarded with an investment of almost $500,000. And these fellowships have a lasting impact. So MDF's now funded 52 fellows. Many of the fellows have gone on to become thought leaders in the field of DM, and they're continually advancing our understanding of DM. And just to highlight your investment, many of these fellows have won NIH funding. And so the way to think about this is that $100,000, which is a lot of money, gets leveraged into millions of dollars. So these fellowships are really important, and it keeps outstanding researchers in the field. Something MDS started just this past year, which I think is a wonderful program, is the early career research grants. So sometimes it's tough for researchers to make those transitions. And so these early career research grants allow our young investigators to make those transitions. So $600,000 was awarded to 3 outstanding researchers. I know at least 2 of them are here. I haven't spotted the third, but he may be here as well. And it nurtures and retains early career scholars who've demonstrated a passion for DM research. And then also we have ongoing research funded with the NDM1 natural history study. Maybe many of you are part of that. That's really important to get the families and the patients involved in this because it's critical for our clinical trials. So it helps improve our understanding of the disease progression, helps validate the endpoints and inclusion criteria for therapeutic trials. And just to highlight a few of the companies here, and you'll hear more from them later today and tomorrow, MDF's helping to eliminate barriers for drug development for 40 plus companies and institutions. When I got in this field nearly 20 years ago, there just wasn't that much going on. And now it's so exciting to see all the companies involved. So just to highlight a few of them, you'll hear from them later today. AMO Pharma, they have a small molecule Harmony Biosciences, another small molecule. Avidity Biosciences, we heard from them yesterday, and we'll hear from them later today. They have a really exciting program. Dyne, another great, exciting program. And if you want more information on this, the website, myotonic.org.pipeline, highlights all of the companies working on DM. I encourage you to look at that. So it's really important for you to participate in research. MDF manages the world's largest DM-only patient registry. And so if you haven't joined it, please join. And if you have joined, update your information, because it's important to keep your information up to date so that when trials are getting ready to start or research studies, you can be reached out to for those opportunities and participate. And then you can also learn more about DM by accessing anonymous data in the registry, so you can learn about the disease. And again, there's the link on the bottom. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Jeremy.
Hi. Thanks, Andy. So financials, a little bit boring, but without money, nothing happens. To give you an update, in the past year, we had an operating budget of $2.6 million. How was that spent? 87% of the expenses went towards research, care, and advocacy programs. And what I highlight, the management in general at 5%, that is extremely low. And as you'll hear, the investment we've made on the fundraising side has paid huge dividends as well. In terms of donations, as Tanya mentioned, last year was a record year. We raised just under $3 million. So thank you, everybody, for your help with that. We had a dip, as you can see, the COVID years of 2020 and 21. We actually, as a board, adjusted our operating budget during those years as well. And as you can also see, we've had a nice uptick since 21 through 22 in terms of the numbers of donors. But, everybody in the community can help increase donations and broaden support for all the programs that we've just been talking about. In terms of the gala, if you go back to 2019, for the first time, we raised more than $1 million at a gala. That was in LA, at Paramount Studio, the streets of New York. COVID then hit. We had 2 years of doing virtual galas, and it's incredible the support that we have from our donor base, that with a virtual event and an amazing gala committee, we raised essentially $1 million in each of those years. This past year, we went to New York and had our first in-person gala event. The enthusiasm in the room was off the charts, and we raised a record $1.4 million, which is, it's phenomenal. So many thanks to everybody who's involved in that. And in terms of this coming year, we have a gala in Hawaii in November, and plans are well underway, and hopefully that'll be another very successful event. We also have the grassroots fundraising, raised close to $100,000 last year. The Andrew Gulch Memorial Outing, Dean Sage and Mark Steele pre-wedding event, Jesus Brito with his bonsai artist event raised money, and then Myotonic Dystrophy in Motion, an initiative that the Bolt family led, was very successful in raising money as well. So thank you to everybody for all of those efforts. This was a first. We actually had a team on behalf of everybody here in our whole community. We had a team swim the English Channel. So from the south of England to the north of France, it's pretty treacherous. You can see in the little kind of Z shape or Z shape, the tides move the swimmers backwards and forwards as they leave England and try and get to France. The amazing thing, Avidity had a group of colleagues who swim down in San Diego. They swam the English Channel and they chose Myotonic Dystrophy as foundation, as the organization they wanted to support. And they could have chosen anybody, but it's unbelievable that they did that. They were in the water for over 12 hours pushing our cause and raising money for us. So thank you for doing that. Tanya and Andy walked through the amazing work that's happened this past year. And we have an unbelievable team fighting for us every day. And I just want to go through and just make sure you all appreciate the great team that Tanya leads day in, day out. The front line, the real heroes we have 36 MDF support group facilitators. If they would all stand up so that we can give them a big round of applause for their tireless work throughout the year. So thank you. It's great that we're actually meeting again in person, but during the pandemic with the isolation, these people really were our front line with moving the support group world online and really providing a huge amount of love and comfort to our community. So thank you very much for all that you do. Andy has taken over from Charles on the Scientific Advisory Committee. We have 12 leading scientists and researchers in the field. And, whenever we need to vet a research grant, we have Charles and John Day are actually on the board to ensure that any decisions that the board make is based on deep science as well. Andy will be joining the board for this coming year in his new role. We're delighted that Charles is staying on the board. But I'd just like Andy and his fellow scientific advisory committee members, if you're here, if you could stand up. John Day, Charles Thornton, and just give them a big round of applause. Tom Cooper, Nick Johnson, just trying to see who else is out. Anyway, thank you. Also want to thank my fellow board of directors. We have 12 of them who, we have the commitment that the board makes is we have quarterly board meetings. We have an in-person offsite. These are the team that and Tanya and I work with who set the strategic direction for the organization. The great thing was Tanya ran through a strategic planning process. We got a lot of feedback from the community. And so we as a board, our job is to execute on that. So we have board members here, if you could stand so that the community, we can all just say thank you. So we have Liz Florence, David Herbert, David Berman, John Day, Belen, Esperus, John Fitzpatrick, Haley Martinelli, Tom McPeak, Joel Revel, and Charles Thornton. So thank you. I'd also, I haven't got a fancy slide with all their backgrounds, but I also want to thank two board members in particular who are actually stepping down from the board. Want to embarrass my good friend, John Fitzpatrick. John has been on the board for over 12 years. He has a wealth of knowledge in the nonprofit world, and he's brought that. His family has myotonic dystrophy, and he's been an unbelievable board colleague. And John, thank you very, very much for everything that you've done for the community. And then the other board members, the really tall guy standing at the back of the room that isn't Charles Thornton, is Joel Rebel. Joel has been on the board for 6 years. Joel actually, he's a great friend of mine, but Joel is unique in the fact that he doesn't actually have myotonic dystrophy in his family. He's not a professional in the myotonic dystrophy field, but he has a lot of business experience. And I just want to highlight this past year when the regional banks, this is all finance stuff, but we essentially, we needed to solve a problem because we had exposure where our all the money that we'd raised, it was sitting at one of the banks that was affected. And Joel, over a weekend, worked on finding a solution for us. So I think we should all be really grateful for Joel because it's going to allow us to continue doing all of these great programs. So, Joel, thank you. And then finally, the people who actually do the work day in, day out. Kate Beck cannot be here. Unfortunately, she has COVID, but she's our director of development. Kevin Brennan, who a lot of you saw yesterday on the advocacy side. Mindy, Mindy's in a unique situation here. She's putting on this conference, but it's also her first conference as well. So many congratulations on all the great work you've done so far. Clede has been with us for over 5 years as Director of Communications and Technology. Clede knows where everything is in the organization. And then Mindy Kim, our registry outreach specialist, Sophia, who a number of you have met on leading the family register as the coordinator in our efforts to expand our efforts there. Emily Romney, who was an intern last year, has now joined us as a special projects manager. Ruth Sheldon, health resources coordinator, and then Nadine Skinner, who is the research coordinator and helps with all of the grant work. If I could ask all of you to stand so that we can thank you for all your hard work. I think we might have to do this again because I think they're all hard at work making the conference happen. And then the last person I just want to thank as we go into this is actually Tanya for her great work in leading the organization. And you look at how the heart of our community has grown under her leadership. The fact that the research programs have advanced. And one of the things I'm most proud of Tanya is actually the team that she's now building. It's really exciting to see that. And with getting a great team in place, we've then got the building blocks to execute on all the great opportunities we have in front of us. So, my final message is I think the foundation's in the best shape it's ever been in. For all the first timers, I'm sorry that you're on this journey. I'm delighted you're here at this conference. Myotonic dystrophy is at the best possible point right now, and I think some really exciting things are about to happen. So, we just got to all keep moving together and let's figure this disease out. So with that, thank you. I'm actually going to hand it back to Tanya, who has some housekeeping notes for the conference. Bernard, thank you.
Oh, you want to do this one? I'm going to thank our fantastic sponsors because without them, we would not be here today. Our lead sponsor today and who helped with our advocacy training yesterday and our storytelling training is Avidity Biosciences. 17 members of Avidity are here with us at this conference today too. Now, we also have Dyne, AMO, Hepgen, Vertex, Harmony, Juvena, Locana Bio, Expansion, Arthex, the Adani Family Foundation, Grit Gene Therapeutics, Sanofi, Lupin Neurosciences, and Astellas Gene Therapy as our sponsors. So thank you to all of our sponsors for making this happen. Okay, just a few housekeeping notes to help you all get through the next couple of days. Earlier this week, you received a swap card login to participate virtually. So all participants, even if you are here in person, you can participate virtually. So if you get tired, you need to take a break, go back up to your hotel room, you can log in and continue to watch the sessions. So if you did not receive that link, just check your spam folder for that access from noreply@swapcard.com. There are many different wellness activities happening. If you look in your program on page 16, you'll see all the different wellness room activities. There's a quiet space, yoga, Pilates, breathing exercises, and there's also fireside chats. I'm sorry, there's no fireplace, but we have small groups. It's a fireside chat-ish kind of a situation. There's small group discussions with experts in the field. So clinical trials and studies, empathic communication, managing daily activities of living, raising awareness of myotonic dystrophy. And if you participated in the Stanford study last year at the conference, you'll have a chance to actually talk with some of the engineers who designed that technology. 3 of those engineers are here with us at the conference, and they'd love to hear about your experience. And if you want to learn more about that, please just go ahead and ask and learn more about that study as well. Our family restroom, if you haven't noticed, is just near the registration desk outside of these doors. You have USB drives that are connected to your bags when you checked in. Little bags, little drives like this, USB and USB-C. So on these drives are many of the resources that are on our website. So if in fact our website is down, or you just are wondering where the heck you might be able to find something, check out what's on these USB drives, because a lot of the clinical care guidelines for clinicians, as well as resources for the community, are on this USB. Stanford and the University of Utah are both offering research opportunities right here at the conference. So they're going to be in meeting rooms 1 and meeting room 5, which is upstairs on the meeting room level. So stop in and talk with them if you would like to participate in research. The boxes on the tables are for the Mystery Box Challenge. So there is information next to the boxes, and there's a QR code there that you can scan to learn more. And we'll announce the winners of that challenge at the dinner and dance party on Saturday. Please don't take the boxes with you. We want to make sure they stay there. I want to remind you all that the Networking Buddies lunch will be back here today. And if you don't know who your buddy is and you signed up to do that, it should be on the back of your card, your name badge. But anybody can participate. You will be assigned, so you'll be going to specific tables. But there are lots of people who also didn't opt into that. What we want to do is just encourage our professionals, our clinicians, our researchers, our pharma companies to talk with our community, and for our community to learn more about what they're doing and what kind of research is going on, and for them to learn from you what it's like to live with myotonic dystrophy, because this is one of the only places that they can do that. So we're excited to be able to host this Networking Buddy Lunch. Also, just forgive, please. This room is going to change a little bit, and there'll be an air wall that'll drop down, and it'll create a little bit of disruption, I think, at some point when we're changing room setups. So please pardon that disruption. And we encourage you to explore all the different scientific posters that are around the ballroom. We will have the exhibitors and poster showcase tomorrow, and you will have a chance to talk with all of the authors at that point. So stop in and ask questions about their work and what they're doing. And poster number 62, which is right over there, sort of midway along the wall, is the mental health poster for the mental health session that will be happening tomorrow. You can actually ask your questions for the panel that will be presenting tomorrow. You can drop them into the box that's right by that poster. You can do it anonymously. If you have questions, we would encourage you to go ahead and ask those questions. They will do their best to answer them during the panel on Saturday. Don't forget to take photos while you're here, please. There's a step and repeat banner out there for you to take photos in front of. At Myotonic Strong, hashtag MDF 2023, hashtag Myotonic Dystrophy. Thank you everyone for being here, all 500 plus of you and all of our virtual attendees. We're so glad you're here. We hope you have a fantastic conference. So thank you.